night, ma'am.
You too.
What kind of movie is it? Horror?
This is Ty West, director of House of the Devil. Some people like it. When I did House of the Devil, that was $900,000.
Uniquely original, independent horror to some, slow, self-indulgent genre fodder to others. Ty West has directed some of the most celebrated and hotly debated horror films of the last 2 decades. But are his films really truly horror? With a title like The House of the Devil, packing graphic knife and gun violence, a nasty satanic ritual, a hideous creature lurking in the shadows, as well as infanticide, attempted suicide, and a random dancing interlude, all in a tight 95 minutes. Could it be that Ty West actually sold us an extremely personal art film, disguised as a lost 1980s horror flick?
I just put a lot of effort into hopefully making interesting people to pay attention to. You know, it's like my style, of course, is to like hold a lot of the horror off and build suspense, and I don't necessarily, you know, kill a lot of people or give away the good. That's not really my style.
Hey, I'm Alex and welcome to my channel. I'm a big fan of Ty West, so let's get into his movies. Apart from an overt Hitchcockian vibe, some have detected an influence of early Roman Polanski, with both Repulsion and Rosemary's Baby quoted for their slow burn, deliberate pacing, a strong atmosphere of mounting psychological dread, and an overall methodical approach to horror. Director Martin Scorsese even went on to liken West's 2012 Innkeepers to a classic 1940s Val Lewton picture. Ty West has repeatedly credited Larry Fessenden with giving him an opportunity to break into filmmaking by financing the 2005 horror movie The Roost. Fessenden even makes a cameo appearance in Maxine. Now, he may come across as deliberately plain-spoken and unpretentious in his interviews, but don't let appearances fool you. Ty West's low-key manner hides a keen, sharp mind, and a burning passion for film is clearly palpable in every frame of even his early indie works. So what if we apply the famous author theory to West's body of work? Several constants emerge, begging to be explored. Let's begin at the beginning. The main reference points of this video are House of the Devil and X, but the same principles can be applied to his other works in the genre. In fact, all of Ty West's horror films, regardless of their production year or budget, form a surprisingly cohesive whole with recurrent motifs and themes throughout his filmography. With a tiny cast comprised largely of friends, with multitasking crew members stepping in front of the camera in supporting parts, a single setting, and a tightly controlled narrative, House of the Devil is nothing if not budget conscious. Ty West even got his school buddy Mike Armstrong to compose the punchy opening credits tune. Now, if anything, The House of the Devil utilizes plot mechanics not of a slasher film, but of a more traditional murder mystery, or even a classic thriller picture, relying heavily on dilated time, negative space, sounds and events off screen, outside the frame, and a less is more approach. Ty West deliberately allows his characters a time away from the constraints of the plot, letting them roam free, like in an early 1960s French New Wave movie, before plunging them back into the realm of horror, where they are subjected to a grueling, horrifying ordeal. West's characters often go on a journey, a voyage away from their dreary existence, searching for the good life. For Samantha, The Good Life means an apartment all of her own, away from the campus, depicted as oppressive and full of gross things. In X, Maxine risks everything to escape her oppressive upbringing and become successful and famous. She'll get the good life by any means necessary, even if that involves acting in dirty movies or fighting off lecherous, violent, aging farmers. Both films follow the traditional storytelling formula. On their quest for the good life, the hero arrives at a remote, evil house. Inside the house, the protagonist meets their dark double, their antagonist, who will put them to the ultimate test. Maxine literally ends up in bed with a naked woman about 3 times her age, whereas Samantha, a germaphobe, wakes up to find herself tied up in a dank, musty cellar where a disfigured creature force-feeds her freshly drawn human blood.
Megan, how am I gonna afford all this stuff?
In the world of Ti West's movies, a house is never really a home. Maxine, as we learn by the end of X, is a product of a certain kind of rigid, dogmatic upbringing. She'll do anything to shake off her past and achieve independence. Samantha, in The House of the Devil, is portrayed as a germaphobe, physically unable to be in the same room with her fellow sophomores. Her 2 brief moments of joy come when Sam gets a chance to lease a modest apartment, and later on in the story, as she realizes she has the whole of the vast and opulent house all to herself for the night. Ti West is careful not to provide narrow interpretations of his own work, preferring to leave room for speculation. He's keen to avoid being labeled as deliberately postmodernist, while at the same time openly acknowledging films from the past which have fed into his signature style. As someone with a clear and obvious high regard for the art and craft of the cinematic medium, Ti West has consistently and largely successfully been creating films which are superbly shot, appealing to an international audience, and steeped in cinematic tradition. Whether you like his approach or not, Ti West has undeniably mastered the craft of making quite low-scale and often deliberately paced films somehow appear charged with anticipation and heavy on atmosphere and the sense of place. I think the fact that audiences tend to have such divisive reactions to his films is part of what makes the cinema of Ti West so interesting and relevant in today's franchise-obsessed film landscape.